Hi everyone, my name is Alfred in So welcome to Mandela House Museum in Soweto, Orlando West, house number 8115. So first, before I guide you inside the house, I would like to give you the brief history of the great man, Mr. Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela was born on the 18th of July 1918 in a small village called Mvezo in the Eastern Cape. He was born from a royal family. His father was a chief, blessed with 4 wives and 13 children. So among all the children, Nelson Mandela was the first one to go to school at the age of 7, where he was given the name Nelson because his name was Kgolihlahla. So Kgolihlahla means pulling a branch of a tree, or simply translate to troublemaker. So the reason why he was given the name Nelson, it was under the British colonization where people were given Christian names. So you wouldn't have a name that they wouldn't pronounce. So his female teacher decided to give him the name Nelson. Then at the age of 9, his father passed away due to a lung disease. He had to go to another village to be taken care of by his uncle in a village called Mqhekezweni in the Eastern Cape. He grew up there, also continued with study. Then in 1939, he enrolled at the University of Fort Hare to study a law degree. But unfortunately, he couldn't finish his law degree at that university. He was expelled because of politics. Then in 1941, during school holidays, his uncle chose a wife for him. So avoiding the arranged marriage, he came to Johannesburg. His first stop was in Alexandra Township in the north of Johannesburg, where he rented a small room, got a job as a night watchman, and later as an office clerk in a law firm in Johannesburg. So he continued studying through correspondence. So in 1944, he met his first wife of his choice by the name of Evelyn Massey. So this house in Orlando West, it was built by the government in 1945. So Mr. Mandela and his first wife, they moved in together in 1946. They got this house simply because the wife was working for the government. She was a nurse by profession in a government hospital. So with the first wife, they only had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, but unfortunately 3 of them passed away. The first one died 9 months after birth. She was born sick. The second one died in a suspicious car accident going to visit Mr. Mandela in prison. Then the third one died due to HIV and AIDS in 2005, of which Mr. Mandela later spoke about it. So the remaining daughter, she's a doctor by profession in Ghana, by the name of Umakaziwe. So Umakaziwe is a closer name for let her be known. So with the first wife, they separated in 1956 because she didn't believe in politics. She was the member of the Jehovah's Witness Church. So a year after he met his second wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, they got married in 1958. So with Winnie Mandela, they only had 2 daughters who are now ambassadors, one in Denmark and one in Mauritius. In the 1960s, when the ANC was banned by the apartheid government as it was against the system of apartheid, so Nelson Mandela was forced to go underground in 1961. He went to different countries across Africa and other parts of the world. So on his way back in 1962, he was arrested in Howick, KwaZulu-Natal, with the assistance of the CIA. He was then sentenced to 5 years for escaping the country without legal documents and also sabotaging the government. So while he was serving his 5 years in prison, police raided their headquarters to Lily's Leaf Farm in Rivonia on the north of Johannesburg, where they found documents with his handwriting, and those documents were the actual plans to overthrow the government. He was then sentenced to life imprisonment for treason. But fortunately, after 27 years, he was released by the last president of apartheid, Mr. F.W. de Klerk. He released him on the 11th of February 1990. He came back to this house and stayed for only 11 days. Because he never had privacy, everyone wanted to see Mr. Mandela after his release. Even the journalists were here outside wanting to interview Mr. Mandela. He then decided to move out of this house to a place called the Beverly Hills of Soweto, right behind the hills over there. So in 1992, he separated with his second wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela. They finally divorced in 1996. Then in 1994, he became the first black democratic president of this country. in 1998 on his 80th birthday, he married his third wife, Graça Machel, who is a very special lady today. She's even listed on the Guinness Book of Records to be married to two presidents in two different countries. So the first president was Samora Machel from Mozambique, then the second president was Mr. Mandela. Then in 2013, on the 5th of December, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. The two boards over there are some of the letters Nelson Mandela wrote during the time he was in prison. He was only allowed to write 2 letters a year with a maximum of 500 words, and those letters were highly censored before they could be delivered. So the first letter on the left-hand side, he was responding to the Soweto uprising in June 16, 1976. Then the second letter on our right-hand side, he was writing to his second wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, in 1977, when she was banished from this house to a place called the Brentford in the Free State. Ladies and gentlemen, this middle room, it was divided into 3. It was the living room, the kitchen, and the shower room. So on the shower room, that's where they used to bath, but they used to fetch water from outside. Their toilet was outside. They were using a bucket toilet system. So there's a beautiful painting from Kenya by Leonard Katete. So the name of the painting, it's called The Tears of Freedom. It shows that Mr. Mandela finally, he was liberated, the shackles are broken, and also the footsteps. So here on the kitchen, there's a replica of a coal stove that was used in this house for cooking and to warm the house, because back then there was no electricity. And over here it was the living room. So the furniture that you see, it's original. So before the house was set on fire twice during apartheid, Mama Winnie donated the furniture to one of the locals around. So they later brought the furniture back because the house was now turned to a museum. So this is one of the pictures that she took in this house before she was banished from this house. So in this picture, she was sitting in one of these chairs. So the awards are from different countries and institutions. They were thanking Mr. Mandela and Mama Winnie for their contribution in ending the system of apartheid. So this line here in the middle, there was a petition to divide the living room and the kitchen. So later Mama Winnie replaced it with a brick wall to protect herself and the daughters from the police shootings outside. So the picture at the corner, it's a picture of Nelson Mandela taken on the day of his release in 1990 on the 11th of Feb. So this picture here, it's called the Madiba Bates. It was taken in 2009. So it represents the 4th generation of the Mandela family. The first generation is Mr. Mandela and Mama Winnie. The second generation are their daughters, who are now ambassadors. The third generation are the 3 granddaughters. Then the 4th generation are the great-granddaughters. But unfortunately, this one on our far right, she's the one who passed away in 2010 while we were hosting a FIFA World Cup. She died in a car accident. In this room, it was the sitting room, but later they converted the sitting room to the children's bedroom. So here on the display, we've got 2 pairs of military boots for Mr. Mandela and 1 pair of military boots for Mama Winnie. So that's Mama Winnie on her military gear. The 2 pictures here, Nelson Mandela at the time he was underground. So in this picture, he was in Algeria to gain military support. Then this green boxing belt, it was given to Nelson Mandela by a famous American boxer, Sugar Ray Leonard. So he gave it to Mr. Mandela because he believed that he was a fighter by surviving 27 years in prison. So therefore Mr. Mandela was a boxer, but not a professional boxer. So boxing was his favorite sport. So this belt here, it contains different banknotes from different countries. They donated to the Mandela family. So this document, it was written by the state of Michigan. They were writing to the CIA. They were asking the CIA to apologize to Mr. Mandela for helping the apartheid government to arrest him. But unfortunately, the CIA, they never apologized. So over here are some of Nelson Mandela's writings. Then on top of the television, we've got a picture of 2 Nobel Prize winners who lived in one street. The street outside, Vilakazi Street. This was the main bedroom for Mr. Mandela. So the bed that you see is just a replica of the children's bed that was on the children's bedroom. So the bed cover is made of a jackal skin to show that Mr. Mandela was born from a royal family. As I mentioned earlier, that his father was a chief. So this picture here, it's a picture of Nelson Mandela taken on the day of his release, and these are the words he said: I go to you, I stand here before you, not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people.